Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Average Joe's podcast. I am your original host, Jazzy Josh Raymer, joined tonight by three fellow college dodgeball enthusiasts. It has been a long time since we got on mic together for a podcast, but with sports pretty much shut down, we are doing a reunion show just for you, the NCDA fans out there. So, gentlemen, let's go around the circle here and introduce ourselves, starting with you, Mr. Newton.
Well, my name is Zac Newton. You might remember me as the guy who kept this podcast almost exclusively not about college dodgeball for nearly 2 years, between yelling about Tom Brady, making fun of Jazzy, and eventually getting upstaged by Uncle Randy. I'd like to think that I contributed a lot of quality content to this podcast and a lot of good times to college dodgeball. From Bowling Green, Kentucky to Bowling Green, Ohio, and those being the only two cities I was ever allowed to travel to.
All right, Heichelbech, hit us up, man.
I am Alex Heichelbech. I was also present for most of those things that Zac Newton did. Also didn't help keep it on topic very much. I was also, I think, 4 years in a row, the least improved dodgeball player on our team, but somehow still was the alternate captain for a little bit. So it's a crime of convenience, I guess.
It's because you were good with paperwork, and we knew that you were CPR trained. So if someone were to get, smacked in the heart too hard, you could revive them.
I have rich parents, so it was good for liability.
That's right. That's right. So the fourth member of our crew tonight, the Italian stallion, you know who it is, Felix. Introduce yourself for the listeners at home. They know who you are. You're the most recognizable face of college dodgeball for the past decade. Probably the most well-known WKU Dodgeball alumni of all time. 4-year president of the NCDA. Just wrote the Constitution. Just all around. Like if we ever do a logo for the NCDA that's like a player throwing a ball, it's going to be Mr. Felix Perrone, whose silhouette they use.
Well,
Felix, how's it going, man?
Good. It's been I'm still here.
Yeah, you haven't gone anywhere.
No. This is my last year though, in an administrative role. I think 12 years is enough. So,
12 years.
I'm still very with it. Yeah.
Should have two doctorates in dodgeball by now.
Yeah, right.
For sure. Should we call you Dr. Perrone for the rest of the episode?
I'm not doing it.
I'm not going to do it because Zach's not going to do it. So.
That's right.
How a lot of this happened.
Yeah. Newton and Heichelbech. Wasn't you all's nickname for me the big giant head when we were doing the show?
Yeah, look at how small your shoulders still are.
I know.
It's been 12 years and you didn't put on any weight or do anything to distract from the size of that noggin.
Nope.
I don't know what to do with you, honestly. You're a dad now. You got all this cool stuff going on. And you didn't put on any kind of, I don't even know, these lats. Is that what this muscle group is? Felix, this is a question for you. These right here. Yeah. Raymer, get you some of these. Shrink your head a little bit, fella. Come on.
It doesn't work. All the weight gain just goes straight to the middle.
Zach, you also look almost identical to you did in college, just more dead in the eyes.
Yeah, that's accurate. I turned 30 this year, and when you turn 25 and they send you the box of driving talent and your insurance goes down, when they turn 30, they send you a healthy dose of bitterness in a very similarly sized box. And I opened that right up and it just hit me dead in the face.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious that you're completely dead inside. But still able to bring some joy to the Average Joe's podcast. So thank you for that, Zach.
Joy's a word.
Joy is a word. Yeah. That I was trying to be generous, You're going to make some people laugh, I think.
I doubt that very much.
So, guys, let's kind of catch up here. We introduced ourselves a little bit, but for those who, weren't listening to Average Joe's podcast about a decade ago, let's catch up with where we are now, what's going on. I was the founder and president and captain of WKU Dodgeball for 3 years, from, 2007 to 2010 when I graduated. And stayed on a little bit after that in sort of an administrative role. Helped start the second iteration of the NCDA website. Started this podcast. Started the Twitter account and the Facebook page. And since then, I'm still here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Still got my first ever iteration of the WKU jersey with our names on the back that we got in huge trouble for because we kept having to switch the names out when people would drop off the team. So But yeah, married for, let's see, 8 years. Just had a son on Valentine's Day, so he's 8 weeks old now. And I'm a writer, so I work for a company based out of Austin, Texas. So it's work from home. So this whole pandemic thing, everyone's having to adjust to working from home. Your boy's been doing that for 4 years. So I had a leg up on this whole working from home thing. So that's what's been going on with me. Newton, what's been going on with you, man?
Well, I am older and grumpier than ever, which if you listen to any of the old podcast episodes, that's stunning. I don't hate Tom Brady anymore.
Hey,
that's progress.
Well, I don't like him, but I have like a healthy respect for him. It's kind of the way a lot of people feel about their stepdads. I don't like. He apparently filed for 2 trademarks: Tampa Bay and Tampa Brady, and I'm not here for it.
No, so bad.
But other than that, yeah, it's fine. He's going to be terrible in Florida. It's going to be great for everybody. And then I'm married. Somebody put a ring on it.
Congrats.
She's way too pretty. That's why the door is closed, because she's embarrassed that I hosted a dodgeball podcast. Twitch stream, shameless plug, twitch.tv/allhailzactus. If you want to watch me be bad at video games, I'm really good at that. And then I ran into Heichelbech. I love burritos. I mean, that obviously was existing in college. That's the first. I guess Alex is the only one of you that I've talked to since then. Really, because Felix is off wherever Felix is. He looks like he's in the special forces. And then Raymer vanished from social media, and I just thought he blocked me because he didn't want to talk to me.
No.
Which checks out.
I bounced
completely out.
Yeah, I think you were blocked before I bounced. But,
surprising. I would block me if I could. So I'm working from home. I'm a graphic designer. I work for a tech startup in Louisville and live in E-Town. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't know how you've put up with me for this long, because if I didn't have to hang out with me all the time, I would not. It's a very overrated experience being around me for this amount of time. But yeah, no, life's good, other than not being able to go outside because of the Rona. But other than that, we're getting by, having a good time.
Absolutely. Heichelbech, what's going on with you, man?
Still here in Louisville. I am an elementary school teacher. I teach at a Montessori school and love it. I was a firefighter, EMT for a few years, and that was miserable. And then got married a little over 2 years ago and realized that was not a good job to have while trying to start a new life. So elementary school teacher, I still do CPR, first aid certification stuff. I'm helping actually a former member of the WKU Dodgeball team, Tyler, we're making
Tyler Jury.
Yeah, Tyler Jury. We're making 600,000 face shields, like medical face shields, for Kentucky first line responders.
Heck yeah, man!
Fighting the Rona. So I've been helping with that during my downtime. But yeah, I lived in Japan for 4 years. Got to learn the weird Japanese rules to dodgeball, which are crazy.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Met my wife while I was there. Brought her back here. And yeah, no, I cut my grass every other day. That's it.
Just to get outside?
Just to get outside, get away from my wife. I made a horrible mistake. But at this point, I've done so much paperwork, it seems like a waste to go back on it. So
yeah.
Just kidding.
You better clear that up. Make sure she didn't hear that.
I'd order Jimmy John's now. I'm going to get in real trouble.
There you go. All right, Felix, what's been going on with you, man?
Well, I'm living up in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a programmer, so I develop data analytics software for researchers at Nationwide Children's Hospital, working with researchers to help try to find cures for diseases and things like that by building dashboards and applications they can use to track progress and things like that. I worked from home 2 days a week before all this started, so the full-time work from home was not a huge transition for me, luckily. I don't know. I'm married. Probably
I don't know.
Next
Wife,
couple years.
whatever.
Yeah.
Kids,
He's just ticking boxes till he dies now.
Yeah. I'm still involved with the NCDA. I'm the director of community relations, and then I'm also the treasurer for USA Dodgeball. Helped start that a couple years ago, and we're bringing dodgeball across the United States. We've got a couple thousand members, and I don't know, just building it out.
Nice. Yeah. I had seen that on online, maybe on Twitter. I still follow the NCDA Twitter account, so I don't know, maybe if I saw it on there or whatnot. But Felix, catch us up. So back when we were all in school, because we were all in school at the same time, late, like right around 2010, like 2006 to 2010, 12 range. And so back then we had, I don't know, what would you say, like 20 NCDA schools, something like that, maybe 15 active or something. It wasn't what it is now. So catch us up with like, where is college dodgeball right now? And then we're gonna throw it back to how college dodgeball was a decade ago. But catch us up. You're still involved. What's going on?
It's grown a lot. The game's a little bit different, but we're all over the United States. We have not gone past the Rockies yet. We've got 2 schools out there, I guess I should say. We got Gonzaga and Oregon State. One of the 2.
Someone goes out one year and tries to throw a dodgeball over the Rockies.
Yeah.
Once we get a ball over there, we're hoping it'll pick up.
But got those 2 schools out there. But we've got schools in Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. We finally got Indiana involved.
Nice.
Which
about damn time.
Gap.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What took so long?
East
we got
Coast,
Ohio. We got Illinois, Wisconsin. Come on, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So who do we have from there?
From Indiana, we got Ball State University.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame was supposed to start this year, but Rona. Yeah. But we got a lot of schools on the East Coast now, which is great. Towson University from Maryland, they won the national tournament last year, taking down Grand Valley. Ooh. So the East Coast is becoming more of a powerhouse, which is great. But the story this year was the state of Ohio. State of Ohio had 3 of the top 7 teams in the country. And I think there are 9 total teams in Ohio now. So it's just kind of exploding from the middle, which is great. But next year we're focusing recruitment efforts on the Carolinas to kind of, just expand eastward more.
So what are we at now in terms of member schools? Have we eclipsed 50 yet?
We have just shy of 40 active schools. Right. And then we've got some schools that play every once in a while. If you count those, we're about 50.
All right. Now, I know, sadly, WKU Dodgeball folded a couple years ago. I think Nick Johnson was the last active captain.
Wilson Horner was the last one.
Okay, so we know who we need to kill now. For letting it die.
Great. We were enough to kill him out.
Congratulations, Heichelbech. You're now involved with a murder conspiracy.
I always knew I was going to take the fall for something.
That's why you were an alternate captain for all those years.
Guys are so thick.
You know what I'll have to dig up here? I still have on my computer, I look at it occasionally, not only photos from the alumni game that we did, I guess probably 4 or 5 years ago here in Bowling Green, but also the original 2009 photo shoot with the team that we had my senior year. Some really hilarious photos from that bunch, including my favorite where Matt Parsons and Zach Byrne are kissing the 2 sides of the dodgeball. So we'll have to dig those up as part of this video to show.
I still had a goatee in that photo. I looked like an idiot.
So that's we'll dig some of those up, some fun memories. But Felix, so where was Nationals supposed to be this year? Because obviously college is pretty much on hiatus indefinitely. So along with all sports, NCAA and club sports both. So what were the plans for National for this year?
It was supposed to be next weekend at Ohio State. So it was right in my backyard, which was going to be perfect. I wouldn't have to drive forever. But sadly, Ohio State was one of the first universities that kind of closed down. And we had a good head start. We knew that it wasn't going to happen this year. We have a contingency plan to hopefully host it over the summer, but it really just depends on the development of the virus. If we get into next season, we're just going to call it and say that Rona was the 2020 National College Dodgeball Champions.
Oh man, that hurts.
Yeah.
So someone gets to take the trophy back next year. Do you know how many teams were scheduled for it when it was still going to be at Ohio State?
It was like 26.
Wow.
Awesome.
Would that have been the biggest Nationals?
Yep.
Really?
We had 24 2 years ago at Virginia Commonwealth when they hosted. and this year was supposed to surpass that. I mean, with Ohio State just being centrally located, it helped out a lot.
I was going to say, it seems like with the way you guys have developed geographically, Ohio State might be the best option for just teams kind of meeting in the middle.
Yeah. The only problem with Ohio State is it's Ohio State, and it's a very popular university to host events, and so it's expensive as hell to host. But
yeah,
once you get past that, it's a great place.
Well, I know we had a couple nationals at WKU. I believe the first year was right after I graduated, so 2011, right? 2011 nationals, and then we came back a few years later. What was the next one?
In 15.
15.
Yeah,
okay.
2015. It was at WKU.
So that's
WKU still remains one of the best or the favorite venues to host tournaments. Everyone loves our campus. Thought it was the prettiest campus. All the teams up in Michigan, like, they still talk about how pretty the campus is and how much they really just enjoy the gym and the facility.
Well, yeah, it's not in Michigan. There's light.
Yeah, exactly.
Foliage.
and Newton and Heichelbech on the commentary for all the videos.
From time to time.
I remember the one at 2011 was the time where that guy broke his leg in 3 places too.
Yeah, who was that?
Yep. It wasn't someone from
Tyson Mock from Louisville.
Yes, and it was so sad because he was supposed to DJ that night.
I remember he's like, man, I'm supposed to DJ tonight. Think I'm going to make it? And I was like, nah, man, I don't think so.
No,
tonight, if I'm honest.
You're probably going to the hospital and going to be there for a while, bud.
Good attitude about it.
Yeah, that's good. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the 2011 Nationals was actually the first one where we ever had any kind of live stream of the games from that tournament. And I remember it because we actually used I don't even know if it's still around anymore. Of course, now you have Facebook Live and YouTube and, tons and tons of platforms to stream things on. But back then, selection was pretty limited. And we actually used a software called Livestream that was kind of cumbersome and not that easy to use. And we were on the Wi-Fi there in the Preston Center or using the Wi-Fi. Yeah, terrible Wi-Fi. Terrible. They hadn't really, I don't know if it's any better now, but it was 2011. So, they hadn't really upgraded the campus Wi-Fi at all. Or we were using data on our cell phones. So it wasn't the best setup. But I do remember, I think some of those videos are even still out there. I just remember running around like a maniac trying to get like commentators and cameras and everything set up for that tournament. But my wife still talks about that game you all played against Saginaw Valley. Where you all came close to beating them. I remember, I think it was in pool play, and her and Kendall Swanson, Andrew's wife, were both sitting there on the sidelines, just like, and I was graduated at this point. I think Swanee might have still been playing, but they were just sitting there like just catty with these like Saginaw Valley players and all their groupies that they had there. And it's just one of my favorite memories because she still to this day hates Saginaw Valley because of that game. I say you can't blame her,
No, it's a justifiable hatred.
Yeah, the Michigan teams always were just like, you guys kind of suck. So look at Felix. He's like, oh, God, I have to represent the whole league now. You can't say this, Josh. Absolutely, I can. So, Felix,
Where was this assertiveness 12 years ago, Raymer?
I had to be a little bit.
All of his hatred was just directed straight at you, Zach. That's all I remember.
I wish he would have been more restraining 12 years ago. We'd have gotten so much more done.
Yeah. So, Felix, in your just take off your NCDA hat for a second and put on your just dodgeball fan hat. Who do you think had the best chance at nationals this year? Had it actually happened? And it might still happen. Who knows?
I'm going to have to switch mics because I can barely hear anything that anybody's saying.
I don't think that's a microphone.
You sound like a robot underwater talking through a soda can.
That's not good. That's actually how I sound.
Should we write? You want to write it on that dry erase board behind you for him? You could take the
just
insensitive Fiesta thing off there. And maybe
I'm gonna switch devices real quick.
All right, so we're
leave. Can you readmit me if I leave?
We'll vamp while you're gone.
Yeah,
Vamping is our specialty.
I was gonna say Newton can vamp. So guys, while Felix is gone, why don't you all? Because I have a bucket full of memories that we can talk about later. But Heichelbech, let's start with you. What was your favorite memory from your times being involved with the NCDA and WKU Dodgeball?
Oh boy. I think as someone that like never played sports, I was in theater. I did theater for a long time, and I was not even I know I wasn't good at it, but like it was still awesome finding a sport that was like so welcoming and I could find a way to participate. And I never felt like I was being, shunned or pushed out of it. So I had that. It was nice getting to live that kind of like radio fantasy where I was like, maybe one day I'll get to come into a game and save. Never happened. There's always a party that's like, maybe they'll bring me in and be like, hey, bring in Alex and he can, score the last point or something. But never happened. But I just remember it was such an awesome like mix of people and it being so supportive like all the time. Everyone always had each other's back, which was nice.
They did. We had a good squad. And that's what I always tell folks about dodgeball that is very frustrating is that there's this assumption, dodgeball is being pushed out of PE and being pushed out of schools and kids aren't playing dodgeball anymore because it's predatory and, you have to pick teams and then you throw at people. So it's kind of violent. And I'm like, dodgeball is the most inclusive sport, bar none, that any kid could play. And what you just said is a perfect reflection of that. It doesn't matter. You can have zero athletic talent or background and still come in and be a valuable contributor to a dodgeball team. And so I love what you said there, that you were welcomed with open arms. And I'd like to think, at least when I was the captain of the team, that's how those squads felt, was that everyone loved everyone else on the team, had each other's backs, and we just had a blast playing together.
Yeah, and it was so great to go to a game and like invite friends along who hadn't seen any college dodgeball. And you're like, oh, there's a dodgeball thing. And they were expecting, like those squishy foam balls. And they were like, oh, it's going to be goofy and silly. And they would show up and see people like running plays and see like the intensity of it. So that was another one of my favorites, was seeing someone's first college dodgeball experience, even as like an observer, and just being like, oh my God, like watching someone throw, an awesome and hit someone with it. Just, it was the replayability of that was just phenomenal.
Yeah. So Newton, you weren't actually on the team, but you were involved with the podcast and kind of behind the scenes doing a lot of the commentary. So what were some of your favorite memories? We were talking before we got on mic about you and Heichelbech calling a game hungover, but were there any other memories that you have that you cherish from those college dodgeball days?
Yeah, the funniest, I was thinking as we were kind of sitting here talking before we started recording, I have no idea how I wound up involved in this. Like I don't know I can't trace the memory back. So small world gets smaller every day. I remember we did an episode of the podcast with Ben Subcheck, who was at U of L at the time, and I cracked just Polish joke after Polish joke after Polish joke. Ben wound up living in E-Town and was one of my best friends for like 4 years while he lived here. Like he was a bar back at this bar downtown, and it was the only bar in town. We were hanging out. I was like, Ben? And he was like, no way. And I was like, way. And then, so we hung out all the time. He had this really cool downtown apartment that had like a rooftop deck on it. And we would play video games, and we'd take his TV up and play hockey on his roof and get drunk. And it was great. But the lasting connections, like I haven't really talked to any of you guys in years, really, other than, again, Alex, who I've run into a couple of times because we live kind of close together and I'm in Louisville for work and pleasure enough. But it's like we
have nothing to do with that pleasure.
No,
pleasure is all you.
These rings are not related. We are married to different people.
Right.
But
right,
no,
right.
I mean, we go to Louisville for, it's E-Town. There's less here to do than there is in Louisville. So, I mean, I've seen Alex a couple times, but like the lasting connections, like just dropping into this conversation and catching up with you guys was great. The Bowling Green Ohio Nationals was a lot of fun. We were not hungover during that game. We were still very drunk. And just lasting connections that you form with people. You talked about the team photo shoot with the two guys kissing the ball, and I still remember and occasionally use a photo from the podcast photo shoot that we did at your house. I use the one where I'm holding the log like very menacingly next to a fence a lot. Yeah. I also really enjoy the one where Alex and I are laughing at a photo of your family. Like there's
yeah, I remember that.
There's a bunch of random exercise equipment. It's just us doing like bad reps on exercise equipment.
Yeah, I mean, there are too many memories to count. Like I
called into work so I could go to that photo shoot. What a waste of my time.
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Like all of this now, like as a 30-year-old married adult, is so stupid and embarrassing, and that's what makes it great. Like
it is.
Like there's so much stuff, and times have changed so much. And I'm not one of these people like kids are so soft, but like just the stuff that we got away with doing is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my when I think about like the legacy of like what we did with WKU Dodgeball, the thing that I'm most proud of. Not building a program, not any of the wins, nothing to do with the NCDA. It was the friendships, the lasting friendships that formed from that team. Like it still warms my heart to see people that met because of WKU Dodgeball that are still friends to this day. Like that, I mean, come on, you impacted someone's life for the rest of their life. Like that's incredible. So,
and that's a bunch of colleges I didn't even know existed.
Right?
Yes. Like at Nationals, it was like, what university y'all from? They'd name it. And I was like, wow, didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to Wikipedia, like read that wiki.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Met kids from all over the country. I mean, and, just really had a blast. I mean, I don't have a lot of negative experiences from the actual playing of college dodgeball. Like so many times when we'd have these tournaments and games, like, y'all remember Battle of Bluegrass, Clash of the Commonwealth, playing UK and Louisville for these charity games? Like those are some of my favorite memories. I was actually talking to Allie the other day about that game. I think it was my senior year, so fall of 2009. We had UK up, I think just for a one-off game. And it is featured. The reason I got to thinking about it was somebody posted the old highlight video from the NCDA that was from years and years ago. And there's a lot of footage from that game in this video, but it was the one where I think we went to overtime and Luke Gillum got the last guy out for UK because he was kind of hiding out kind of close to the scorer's table on the sideline and then just popped out and drilled this dude. And we probably had, I would say, 100 fans in attendance. Do you remember this game?
Yeah.
Pictures on the side. At halftime, we did the Dodgeball the movie impersonations, and we gave away a T-shirt for the winner, whoever did the best impersonation. But I was talking about that game, and just that was so cool because my entire family was there. Allie was there wearing this jersey. I mean, like, to this day, that is burned into my memory, and I could name off like 10 more games like that, that it was just like so much fun to be a part of. You just felt like you were part of something really cool.
The only way I can remember the WKU fight song is as a huddle staring at the floor with it being screamed into my ears. That's the only way I can remember the fight song.
Yeah, that. And do y'all remember what we always broke it down to before we played?
Oh, yeah.
Balls deep, baby.
Yeah, always.
They still did that.
Do they?
Up until the very last season.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it was like pretty cool, like to also see like future generations coming through and carrying on some of these traditions. Like I remember kind of the unofficial motto that doesn't really work in coronavirus days, but it was hugs, not handshakes. Like that kind of speaks to how familial and friendly our team was. But Felix, to jump back over to the other topic before you had to bop out there, I was saying with the current NCDA taking off your official hat and putting on your fan hat, who do you think was the favorite going into nationals this year?
It was still probably Grand Valley University or Grand Valley State, but Ohio University, they've made some incredible strides this year. They went from being 0-29 3 seasons ago to going undefeated this year.
Wow.
And
that's like WKU.
They were playing some actually
seriously
really good competition. They weren't just like beating up on the scrubs.
Yeah. Wow. So isn't it amazing, guys, that over a decade later, Grand Valley State is still the best team in the country?
Well, you know,
Some things just never change.
something in the water, I guess.
I think so. They must still have just an amazing recruiting pipeline up there where it's like, oh, you didn't make this college football or baseball team you were trying to walk on to. Come over and play dodgeball. We'll hook you up with a rabid fan base and, 15 trophies in the trophy case.
They've just got some of that Captain America serum laying around.
They do, man. It's seriously. So, and I don't think any of you guys were involved because the WKU Dodgeball story is kind of a funny one in that the first year that we had the team, I think there were only 2 people that ended up sticking around to the next year when Alex, you joined, and then Felix, you joined as well. And the second game we ever played was at UK. It was against Grand Valley State, and they beat us 16-0 in one half because we quit at halftime. And I'll never forget, we had a guy I went to high school with named Brian Sargent. Not the most athletic guy in the world, but he played, and I was grateful for it. And he wore glasses. And the player from Grand Valley State, that was really the first time we saw like the true grippy throw. We hadn't seen it up to that point, and it scared the hell out of us. And he took a ball to the face. It broke his glasses in half and buried it into the bridge of his nose. So in addition to having a broken pair of specs, my dude had blood streaming all down his face. And that was when I knew we should probably just wrap this up. I think we're done.
So you're going to say, oh, there's this guy, Sergeant, he wore glasses. He got hit so hard in the chest, he died. I don't know why I brought up the glasses.
Yeah. He did die, yeah.
Someone that was still, like, it was one of our, I don't know if it was for nationals or for another, like, smaller tournament we did. It was one of the years someone got, like, one of those radar.
It's Mike McCarthy. That's who you're thinking of, yeah.
And we had
hit me in the chest.
And we went over to one of the racquetball courts, and we had like a fastest throw thing, and it was mind-boggling the speed that people could put on that grippy throw. I can't imagine being the first one to see that happen and be like, oh god, they're going to cancel this sport now, or like they're going to mandate helmets or something.
Yeah, it was terrifying. And a funny story about that. I actually borrowed that radar gun from my high school baseball coach, and I don't remember who it was. I'm just going to blame it on Wes Hopkins since he had the fastest throw that year at 83 miles an hour. But the radar gun actually took a hit from a dodgeball.
I remember this.
I think it fell out of someone's hand. I don't think the ball dented it, but it fell out of someone's hand. And I had to take it back to my coach with a humongous dent in it and offered to pay for it because we had returned it damaged to the baseball program. So that was fun. I don't know who was holding it at the time. Were you there, Heichelbech? Do you remember that?
I was there watching because I was helping record it. And I remember I hadn't felt that way since me and my brother knocked like a lamp off. Like that thing hit the floor, and I immediately looked around for my dad. Like I was expecting to see my dad just marching towards me. I was like, oh God, I broke something. It's not mine. And I was told so many times, like, please be careful with this. It's not mine. And I was like, it'll be fine. Ah, damn. Well, we've done it. So
yeah, it was fine. He didn't make me pay for it, so I was grateful for that. But Felix, one thing that I was laughing about the other day too was, we're for the most part, dodgeball teams are club sports. They're not the best funded. A lot of people are paying out of pocket. There's a little bit of funding now, I think, to help schools and programs out with costs, but back in the day, man, we were stuffing like 8 to 10 people into hotel rooms wherever we went. Your boy always had a bed because he paid more to actually sleep in a bed. But a lot of these guys were sleeping on the floor, sleeping in the sink, whatever it took. They were just stuffing them in there.
Remember at the National one year, Zach peeing in the sink because the toilet was occupied.
That happened. That's that was in Bowling Green, Ohio. We know how I feel about that entire metropolitan area. There were like 5 of us. Adam Martin drove a 2-door like Scion, and there were 5 of us in that car. And 2 of us were me and Heichelbech. And I don't know if you can tell by looking at us, we are not the kind of people you put in 2-door cars.
Yeah. God bless Adam Martin. I saw him probably last year at the mall, just randomly. He was sitting there. Still looks the exact same. And I think he was in school for a good, like, Felix, you could speak to this. I think Martin was in school for a good, like, 8 or 9 years.
I think he hit the decade mark.
Did he really? Good for him, man.
Yeah.
I think he's got a big hemp farm now, like a big hemp operation somewhere in Kentucky. So I think he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yep, he's doing what he likes. I talked to him actually not too long ago, probably around Christmas. He said he's really loving what he does. He travels a lot because of it. I think he like helps other hemp farmers. So like when I talked to him, he was in like Bolivia or something like that.
Wow.
Is he still driving the Scion?
I don't know. I put a huge dent in his car. He was drunk and he's like, Can you drive me home? I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I get in the car and I start backing out of the driveway wherever we were. And he was like, hey, just don't hit anything. I was like, I'm not going to hit anything. And before I could finish that sentence, I run into a stump that was in the very middle of this gravel driveway for whatever reason.
Yeah, sure.
How much was in Bowling Green, Kentucky? That's on brand.
Brand out. What do you do?
Yeah, you're gonna take it out with a stump grinder. No, you're just gonna drive around it.
Back not horrible, but fantastic memories of when we went down to that timeshare in Florida. A group of us, and I remember we were planning to leave the next morning to drive back to Kentucky, and everyone was getting ready to go to bed. And Adam comes out and he's wearing shorts, no socks, no shirt, and has all of his bags on his shoulders. He's like, we should just go now. And it took us like 30 minutes. And I remember finally Felix put his dad voice on and was like, put down your bags and get in bed. And he like full on Charlie Brown, like went in and just fell asleep, like curled up in a little ball. And Felix was like, I'm sorry that I had to yell, but
sometimes you got to use the dad voice.
I never complain at restaurants, but I called the restaurant that night and complained to the manager that our server was over serving because Adam was completely smashed, and we were just telling the waiters like, "Stop bringing him alcohol." The waiters like, "I don't care."
He got so drunk he was going Barack Lesnar. We were like, "No, it's Brock Lesnar," and he went, Barack Lesnar. So and he was like, "Excuse me, sir, please don't serve another drink." The guy was like, "Yeah, okay." And I got another LIT for you, bud. Would just
oh my God, that's great. So that sounds like Adam though, and it's funny. I'll still see dodgeball guys from time to time. You mentioned Tyler Jury there, Alex. I saw him. He has the Clayton and Kroom leather company, so I saw him a couple years ago at a show where he was, selling their products.
He has a dental office here locally as well. He's doing some awesome stuff.
He is, man. I talked to Zach Byrne probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I did their website for their dental office. He, I think, works with his dad there at Byrne Family Dentistry. I think it's in LaGrange, maybe. But so, I've interacted with some guys
that are for sure locked up. Like how many for sure convicts?
Knowing the group that we had, I would
Tom
say
Schatzinger's got to be in jail.
Who's that?
Tom Schatzinger. He's got to be.
That's the funny one. So that's my favorite interaction I've had with the dodgeball guy. Post dodgeball was that I thought I had lost the keys to my shed in my backyard, which is like it's like a man shed. And so I thought I had lost my keys. And so I was like, I've got to get into the shed. And I don't know how. Like, I don't want to break a window. And so I posted on Facebook, does anybody know someone that is a locksmith or can help me out with this shed? And Tom DM'd me. He said, I'll be by in 10 minutes. So Tom comes by with a lockpick set and picks the lock on the shed door and has it open.
He says, I picked this up in prison, right? That's where he picked up that.
And my favorite part was, I think at the time he was doing security. He was like the head of security for some company, like staffing the security, for this facility. So I was like, Tom's picked up some tricks. I think he's like pacing the joint and waiting, to do like a Mission Impossible style, like heist of the place. So
I remember so many times in tournaments because he was the sideline assassin. That was his name.
He was. Yep.
This close to like fist fights, like the number of times people would get so bent out of shape, which I totally understand. Like that was such a horrible thing to do to people was that technique, but it was so efficient. And I stopped feeling bad for them after they got caught by the same thing 5 times per match. But I remember him just sitting there all cool as a cucumber, and he'd nail someone. They're like, "What? Oh!" And people would just start yelling "sideline assassin" at him.
Yeah. Tom's one of my favorite players of all time, just because.
Wow, Felix is sitting right here.
I said one of. Felix knows where he is, and because Tom, you knew if you got into it with Tom, you were going to die. And so it was not advantageous for you to screw with Tom Schatzinger on the dodgeball court because you were going to come out on the wrong side of that. No doubt about it.
Small but fierce.
That's right. Small but fierce. So, Felix, we were talking about favorite memories while you had to hop off there. Are there any you were involved with WKU Dodgeball for a very long time. And so you have a lot of memories as well that you could draw from. But what are some of your favorite memories from back in the day?
I have no idea. I mean, it's just there's so many. I mean, there's a lot where I like to laugh at myself, so I like to pick out embarrassing moments that I've had. You were, I think, when I thought you were talking underwater as a robot through a garbage can. I think you were talking about the live streaming that we did for 2011 Nationals. Okay. There is one video, and I will never tell anybody which video it is, but you can hear me hitting on the girl who was running the camera because she was a volunteer from the soccer club, because the soccer club was helping us run the tournament with just running the cameras. And the entire game, I'm just sitting up there next to her, just trying to
macking
game.
Oh, sorry if my muscles are distracting you.
Yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
question.
No,
did
here's
it
what he
land?
did. Yeah, I was going to say, did it work?
No, God, no.
It's like, and that soccer player is now Mrs. Perrone.
Yeah. No, here's what he did. He definitely paid like Adam Martin or somebody like, all right, look, throw a ball at me about 10 minutes into this conversation. I'm just going to snag it out of midair and impress this chick. I mean, just admit it, Felix.
It wasn't even that smooth. It's really one of the more embarrassing moments of my life. And the guys that on the dodgeball team that I play on now, the Columbus Gamecocks, Kyle Fitzpatrick will bring that video up every once in a while in our group chat and just like, hey guys, want to hear this again?
I'm gonna go find this.
I'm married.
So, it's from the 2011 Nationals then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go find this bad boy.
We're quarantine board, man. We've got time.
That's right. We're gonna find
Good
this thing. So I think were all of you there for the alumni game that we had? Newton, did you make it down for that?
I did not, and I don't remember why. I had plans to, and then life happened, but I don't remember what it was.
So
When was the alumni game?
I think it was maybe 2015.
Yeah, so
That sounds right.
I wouldn't have made it back for that.
I thought you were there, Heichelbech, because, and maybe I'm confusing this with another memory, because I remember we were playing against the current team.
No, I did come down for that.
I
Yeah,
was going to say, I thought we had a picture of you.
I just finished my EMT training. Like I came
Yes.
down like straight from my EMT training. Yeah.
So the reason I remember this is because there was, let's see, what was his name? Wes Bratcher was a current player, one of the better players for WKU at the time. Took a vicious headshot as he was falling backwards and smacked his head against the hardwood. And I remember Heichelbech saying this because Wes was hell-bent he was going to get back into the game. And Heichelbech came over to me and was like, I'm pretty sure that dude has a concussion. I don't think he should be playing anymore. And I was like,
I went up and I started asking. I was like, just like casual conversation, like, "Hey, how are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing fine. I was like, "Hey, do you know what day of the week it is right now?" And he'd go, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, "Oh, dang." Yeah, he rang his bell pretty good.
He did. He definitely did. I love it because Heichelbech was always like Johnny on the spot when we had these like insane injuries. Was the leg break the worst one that you ever had to deal with, Alex?
The leg break was really bad. We had another one that was also at 2011 on a different day. There was a guy that had gotten hit really hard, like upper kind of up here. And he came and asked me, he's like, "Hey, my vision's a little blurry." So I checked on it and I was like, you can put some ice on it, take some Tylenol. Like 10 minutes later, someone came and was like, "Hey, can you come check on a guy?" And it was the same dude. It looked like someone had put a tennis ball under the skin up here. And then, so I was like, that's not normal. It should be swollen. I was like, you should take him to the urgent care center. And he went and got x-rayed. He had cracked the orbital bone
Cool.
in his brow there. So he got hit hard enough. And I was like, did he hit the floor? I was like, no, it was just the dodgeball. He got hit hard enough in the face with the dodgeball to crack his eye orbit. So
That's not
Wow.
those two were the worst ones.
I don't remember the leg break. Like either I wasn't calling that game
It
or
was
I am gone.
who was the U of L player? Kevin Weir, the one that broke his leg?
No, it was Tyson Mock.
No,
I'm
the basketball
talking
player.
about basketball.
Oh, yes, Kevin Ware. Yes,
It was
yes.
identical to that. He was running backwards and like jumped to make the catch. And when he landed, it was his lower leg. He had a break in 3 places.
Not
Didn't
into
he-
it. Not into it.
Didn't he land on his heel and it sent all the force up?
Yeah, straight up through there. And it literally it was like a step fracture. Like it broke there and then also broke up there. So he just had a free floating chunk of leg bone there in the middle.
Pass.
Oh, that's so gross.
Hard,
No, see,
hard pass.
I remember, Newton, you were hitting on that same girl that Felix had been hitting on. So that's why you missed.
Well, he
I wouldn't rule
was
it out.
and people kept coming and saying, "Hey, can we just move him so we can start the game?" And I was like, "No, get away. You should.
Yeah.
You need to buzz off because.
You should wait.
Can I just look at it?" I was like, "Nah, man, you're fine. You just hang out there. Tell me about DJing. That sounds like fun."
Yeah. See, you had the perfect temperament for this because you took no from anyone. And if people were trying to get this guy off the court to resume the game, you're like, just shut up and leave me alone and let me tend to this guy's mangled leg, please.
Yeah, I currently every winter I work at the world's tiniest ski resort up in southern Indiana. Paoli
Peaks.
305 vertical feet of
Wow.
and I'm on the
tiny.
control up there, and it's every season just a 305-foot hill, and people get injuries like they've jumped out of a 8-story building. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, I guess dodgeball gave me a love for people that hurt themselves doing really bizarre sports.
Yeah, it's funny you would mention that other injury with the orbital bone because I remember, I think it was our first nationals at Grand Valley State. This would have been in 2008. Adam Martin went up. Yeah, 2009. We went up there, and I don't remember who we were playing. Maybe like Michigan State or somebody. But someone that was standing in front of Adam Martin bent down to pick up a ball, and a curve came in and smacked him right in the side of the face. And it was similar to that, what you described, Heichelbech. His eye swelled pretty much completely shut and was about that big on his face. Now, I don't think he broke his orbital bone, but he couldn't see for a good 2 days after that.
Do you remember part 2 to that story?
No, I don't. What happened?
So Adam's up on the top of the bleachers nursing his injury. He's holding an ice bag up, and I was like, "Hey man, we're gonna go get lunch. You want to come?" He's like, "No, I'm just gonna sit here." I was like, "Okay." So I walked down with I think it was you and with Ben. We get down to the bottom, and I realized I had a squishy stress ball, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want this." So I turned around and I threw it, and I hit him in his other eye from easily 50 feet away. And he just looks around
and he looks down and sees you, and you just double gun straight up at him.
Amazing. I mean, it's just adding insult to injury, but that
Only Adam,
Yeah, I was gonna say only Adam Martin would that happen to.
So I'm kind of curious, Felix, since you're still really involved with the college dodgeball thing. When we were still playing, the kind of attitude people had toward it, where there were a couple teams that took it very seriously, but the vast majority of the league was leaning more towards, was it DePaul? Was DePaul the weird team?
Yeah, DePaul was the court jesters.
Yeah,
if you will.
I remember Baby Shark. They did Baby Shark well before it was a meme, I guess.
Yeah.
What is the ratio of teams now that are super duper serious about it versus the ones that are more, in it for the yucks?
Well, for the yucks, it's still just DePaul.
Awesome.
You'll
Cool.
be happy to know that they are still just going strong with that. A lot of the schools are taking it really seriously now. Now that we are able to live stream most games, there's a lot of film to watch. So teams have film nights. They have plays. Everybody's taking it very seriously. There is much. I mean, it's not one-sided anymore. It's not Grand Valley and Saginaw Valley versus everyone else. Now it's there are I'd say probably 10 legitimate shots for people to win the national championship.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's no longer a shoo-in.
The other thing, when we were listening to the Hungover cast, that was the morning after the captain's meeting, and it was really cool listening to that again, because we introduced, or there were a couple times where there was a rule infraction on a rule that had been made like the night before, which was kind of cool to listen to. Like, oh, hey, we just saw this happen. It's a new rule from last night. Are there any other major changes that we've seen compared to a decade ago to the sport?
Yeah. So it's no longer 15 on 15. It's 12 on 12. The opening rush doesn't go to the middle. So the balls, you have 3 balls on each neutral zone and then 4 balls in the center, because we just had so many people get injured on that opening rush where people are just checking each other.
Yep.
And balls on the opening rush are live when the whistle goes. So you have people rushing to get those 3 balls on their side, and then they're just
annihilating
and
people that are running towards the middle. So
Yeah. We're not talking like knees into your face anymore. We're just talking about dodgeballs at point blank range into your face.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
a lateral move.
I love being super slow on the team, because I was never expected to go anywhere near the middle, because that was just terrifying. I'm trying to think the other big problems we had. The big one that we had were like stalemates when it was down to a handful with like the counts for, having to make a legitimate throw. That was where I saw most of like the frustration, I guess, when we were playing, where it just turned into like this endless one, both teams just throwing to break the clock. Has there been anything to try to remedy that?
The legitimate attempt zone is tighter now, rather than it being a step and a lunge, which is what it was. Now it's within, I think, 4 feet. So you have to actually make a good attempt to throw at someone. So that's a big change. And then another one that's, I think it's probably been the biggest change. There's no more dirty blocking. So dirty blocking was you block a ball, as long as it contacts the ball at all, then you're safe. Now, if I'm holding a ball and I block a ball and it ricochets off of my blocking ball and hits me, then I'm out.
What about if it like ricochets off the ball and hits another player? Are they out as well?
No. So you are the only person that's able to get out on your own block.
Okay.
I kind of like that, because
awesome.
it takes some of those judgment calls out. It's like, it doesn't matter if it hits your ball. If it hits you at all, you're out.
Yeah.
My favorite argue calls.
Exactly. It's much easier to ref.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I was going to say, it's much easier to ref.
Okay.
Yeah. My favorite controversial calls were the ones where someone would catch it between their ankles, and the question was like, did it hit the ground? Like when was it a dead ball? I remember those arguments as well. So
yeah.
Another big change is we moved the throw line from 30 feet to 28 feet, so it's a little bit closer. Not much, but those 2 feet do make a difference.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd say so. Do you still have guys doing the old run and jump kind of suicide to get somebody out?
Yeah, actually, we had I coach Ohio State's team since I'm up here, and we had someone do that to win a game in the Ohio Dodgeball Cup 2 months ago. So,
nice.
It's still happening.
Is sideline assassinating still a strat?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is sideline assassination still a strat?
Are there Tom Schatzingers? Is his legacy living on? Is what we want to know.
There is. There's a famous video that was on Ridiculousness, the Rob Dyrdek show.
Yeah.
Where there's an Ohio State player named Nick Fossnight, and he did that, and he hit a Saginaw Valley player perfectly in the nuts.
I remember that.
Blank range.
Yep. It was the guy for Saginaw that wore the glasses and had the shaved head, like the black.
Kyle Foster.
Yep. I've seen that one. That one is a very famous nut shot. Probably the most famous nut shot in NCDA history. So have we had 2 videos beyond ridiculousness? Because I remember the backflip game that you all were playing UK, where the guy tried to do the backflip and knocked himself out. That was also on ridiculousness.
That was good.
Was it you? Was it you who threw that ball at him, Felix?
Yep.
That's what I thought. You tried to kill him.
So Felix, you're like a D-list celebrity.
Yeah.
Welcome.
You can't see me.
You and Kathy Griffin are on the same level now.
You can just see my ball. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, we couldn't see you on the video. So Newton, I want to circle back to something because I really am trying to rack my brain as to how you got involved with WKU Dodgeball as well. What is the earliest memory that you have of being involved with the college dodgeball program?
That's a good question.
Did you come to a game and we talked to you afterwards and you got involved from there? Did we have a class together? Like, I really am trying to put this together.
Well, I was okay. So I was before I got kicked out. I was in Phi Gamma Delta with Tyler Jury, Jake Ryle, and Josh Wiseman, and I don't know if I came to a game or what.
I think that was it. You were buddies with the Fijis because you were in Fiji for a while, and I think you had come to a game.
Rip.
Yeah. Is Fiji not around anymore?
No, I was. No,
Okay.
they saw to it that I was not.
Yes, I got you.
So the Fiji are still going strong, and
they're doing
like
great.
I'm so glad we got rid of that Zac Newton guy, so we could maintain and be a
cutting
strong.
Dead weight is what they call that. Now.
So I think that's what it was. I think
happened to me my whole life.
we had done that before. Like I think Jared Silverthorne and Andrew Swanson came out and were filming a game for like one of their classes or something, and they ended up playing for years and years after that. So that did happen occasionally where people would come watch games and then they would get involved with the program after that. So I think that's what it was.
We found like it was me and Ben Subcheck, who was my roommate at the time. We found like a tag under like a car windshield or something. We were in the parking garage, yeah. And we were used to seeing the ones that were just for like horrible like mixtape release parties, or we were like Dodgeball.
So many
I remember we saw it and we were like, that sounds lame as hell. We should go check that out. And then we showed up and we're like, there's a catapult. What the hell? This is awesome.
Yeah, the Rob 9000. Yeah, that was me. I remember printing those off. I think it was on yellow paper, printing it off at my parents' house and then cutting it up and bringing it and putting it under all the windshield wipers of all the cars in the parking structure.
Yeah, I had the one that we picked up because I took it back to my dorm. I stuck it on my desk. And it stayed there basically until I graduated. Like that little pamphlet moved with my desk. And then at some point when I left for Japan, it got thrown away. But I had that thing for years.
That's amazing. Yeah. So that was like, I was definitely not the best player. I was not, the one out like leading the charge and getting a bunch of kills and racking up stats. But I was a hell of a recruiter. And so that was one of the surefire strategies I had was, let's pull in people from the stands who want to play. Let's take the first year group that we had that was mainly garbage and pull out the few players in Tom Schatzinger and Adam Martin that actually were good contributors. And then let's do the old, just blanket the campus with flyer strategy. And it worked out pretty well.
And sell yourself short. You were a hell of a captain as well. If you look at the range of personalities that we had on that team, there are not many human beings on Earth, alive or dead, that could have corralled those people. And I remember we still had a ton of fun, but every now and then, especially at tournaments, if it was like down to the wire, when it was like, hey, we can pull out a win if we'll focus up. And I remember when you would go into, remember the Titans mode, and people would listen in. Even the couple of people on our team, I'm not going to name any names, who did not listen to anybody.
Matt Parsons and Zach Byrne. Yeah.
Are they still like just 800-pound hulking beasts of?
Zach's still a big dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
I saw his picture when I was putting together their dentistry website, and I saw Matt Parsons not too long ago as well. And yes, he's still very large because he plays rugby. I'm pretty sure.
Of course. I just remember like for tournaments or whatever, we'd have like a big game and neither of them would be there, and it was like, I'm not going to say anything to them. Like it'd be nice if they would show up. I don't want to make them angry, but like I remember when it was time to get set and play dodgeball. You did a phenomenal job corralling a bunch of very strong personalities. So
yeah, it was like herding cats most of the time, but it was
because you could beat a cat in a fight. I don't think you would have had a chance against a lot of those guys.
Well, and the thing was too, we did a good job like keeping the for the most part. Like we really didn't like suffer fools that much. And if except for Newton, if you were a problem child, you probably saw yourself out or we exited you at some point. But we always, had a good blend of personalities that really, not a lot of like soul crushing, team spirit killing people on the team. So I was very, very proud of that as well. But well, Felix, let's jump into some of these questions that we had here. We had a couple crowdsourced questions from the regular Average Joe's hosts. So, hey, that's that'll probably be a 30-minute segment for us.
Hold on, let me give you the best part of the two questions.
This is a good.
So Felix sent us this Google Doc that we're using as this agenda. Probably a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and I was like, "Holy shit! There's 2 questions. That's 2 more questions than I thought we'd have."
And Felix says, hold on.
Felix goes, "I haven't shared it with anybody yet. I'm going to put it on all the social media channels and see if anybody wants to add anything."
Zach,
and
how many extra questions did we get from?
Hold on, I didn't look at it, thinking I want to be pleasantly surprised, and lo and behold, I opened it today in the McDonald's drive-thru, and there were 2 questions.
You were surprised, just not pleasantly.
No, I sent them a message, and I was like, "Do you guys remember that 2 questions joke I made a couple days ago? Let's pretend I made it for the first time just now."
It worked beautifully. I love it. So hey, it's good though. You know, we don't need a lot of questions to monologue for a long time. Go listen to some of those old episodes if you need proof of that. So Felix, what's this first question we got here?
The first question is from Shadid Drakeford, and he asks, "What made you interested in dodgeball?"
So I can go first.
Raymer, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So this, I played dodgeball all growing up. I don't know if that was the same for you all, but that was my high school baseball coach was my middle school PE teacher, and I can remember he loved to just go in his office and work on the game plan he was also the middle school football coach. So he would go in there and work on the football practice plan or work on the baseball practice plan. He'd just roll out the dodgeballs. He had a little window in his office where he could see out into the gym, and he would just sit there and watch us play dodgeball for all of the middle school gym period. So I always loved dodgeball growing up. I was really good at it. What made me want to actually start the team before I got to Western, it was the summer after my senior year of high school, and there was a big dodgeball tournament that First Baptist Church here in Bowling Green put on. And I gathered up a bunch of my degenerate buddies to come out there and play. And we ran roughshod over this little group of like church mice teams. And we were very much reviled, because we were all pretty athletic guys. A lot of these teams were not. And so we just destroyed them. They didn't have golden wrenches, but they had golden spoons. And so we won the golden spoons. And that is what actually ended up kind of springboarding me into college to want to start the dodgeball club. And we actually had a club my freshman year that was made up, I believe, of 8 teams of like 6 to 8 people that would play each other every Sunday. It wasn't until my sophomore year in 2007 that we started the actual team that joined the NCDA. So that's how I got into dodgeball. What about you, Heichelbech?
I was looking for a club that was enjoyable. Every club or group that I'd gone to had been really contentious, and they spent so much time arguing about who should do what. I was like, this isn't fun at all. And I said that movie was still super popular. So went and I was like, dodgeball, sure. That sounds fun. Cool. And then showed up and was like, oh, this is so awesome. It's so much more intense, and all the characters that were playing, and then seeing how passionate you were about it, Raymer, I was like, oh, he's going to make this fun no matter what. So I was drawn to it just because it was the perfect mix of intense and laid back at the same time, I think.
Yeah. So Newton, again, I'm curious what it was that made you want to invest your time in being part of the club, even tangentially speaking,
his parole officer said it counted as community service.
I needed an outlet for my time that wasn't all based on drinking, I think was part of it. Maybe a little bit based on drinking is fine, but all based on drinking was a problem. I wanted something to do. I had some radio and broadcasting experience and fun stuff like that, but never anything. I don't want to say serious because I don't know that this was totally serious. But I'd never had anything that was, I guess, actually productive. And then I remember I played a lot of ultimate frisbee my freshman year. That was my big physical activity. But all the guys in the ultimate frisbee club were. And then I remember coming to dodgeball, and you guys were being like, well, can you do that? And they were like, he's funny. And you were like, well, host a podcast. And I was like, I don't know about dodgeball. You made me start my Twitter. Okay. And you told me to tweet about dodgeball. And I did not. And
it's true. You did not. You did not listen to anything that I ever said.
You told me to tweet about dodgeball. That's not totally accurate. I listened to some things.
I don't know. I'd have to look up how many tweets I have now, but it's in the many thousands of tweets. Like, you gave me an outlet. Like, Twitter turned into an outlet for my comedy and other way before I had like another outlet for my comedy and or.
Josh just unleashed a plague onto the internet. Is what
Yeah, he really did. Like, you made a series of mistakes in giving me any kind of
opened the door and booted Typhoid Mary out into the general public.
Still using the blue snowball, though.
Oh man, I remember that bad boy.
I got mine.
It's a great USB mic. It works great for all kinds of stuff. But no, you guys were so welcoming. I mean, I knew like half the team anyway, and Alex and I think hit it off. That was the thing that made me, I guess, get actually interested in dodgeball, is that everybody around dodgeball was, like you said, just so cool and so welcoming. It was so fun. And even people at other, like I was in Chicago for a wrestling show because I'm that guy. And me and some friends went to Chicago for the AEW pay-per-view that was up there in August. And I wasn't able to meet up with Jack Young because we were staying in the suburbs, and he was kind of more like downtown, like the cool part of Chicago. And it was like an hour trip. And we were just like, no, we're tired and drunk and we've been watching wrestling. But just talking to him and like catching up, like it's such a cool group of people like across the country. Like I still talk to Mike McCarthy sometimes. We've been going back and forth kind of about dodgeball related stuff in the build up to this podcast a little bit. But it's just that atmosphere was so cool. And then you gave me like a platform where I was not an athlete. I was not going to play dodgeball. I did get on the floor at one game.
You did.
And Mike McCarthy hit me directly in the heart, and I left immediately. But like it was so much fun just to be around those people. What little I remember of the Bowling Green, Ohio Nationals was like just us cutting up and goofing off in the car. We listened to Wizard People, Dear Reader by Brad Neely, and had to pull over because we were crying from laughing so hard.
You getting so mad because we couldn't find anywhere to get food. Everywhere we stopped to get food, it was like everything here has gravy on it. Is there any like normal food anywhere around here?
Nope. It's all gravy covered.
If I may, real quick, I wanted to share a supportive Zac Newton memory. Not too terribly long after I finished with the dodgeball thing, there was a baseball team there in Bowling Green, the Hot Rods.
Yep, yeah, that's right.
That had auditions for their announcer. Does this ring a bell, Zach?
Yeah.
And they had like a tryout kind of thing for commentators. Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to make sure I'm remembering this right.
Yeah, all this is accurate so far.
And they had a bunch of these stodgy old white men that went out with their like, ladies and gentlemen, next up to bat, and it was just boring. Zach came out and gave an EGOT-worthy performance. Perfect jokes. It was family friendly. It was hilarious. Everyone was cutting up, and they still hired some boring ass old white guy for it. There is no justice. This is why I don't vote in elections anymore. Everything is a politics are shams. I just wanted to say the enjoyment that I got out of being, because I'm not nearly as quick-witted or funny, but like being next to Zach for that. It was the same way I felt about being on the team. Like on the team again with people, like being part of a team with people that are so amazing at it. Being on a team with Zach as well. You're still one of the funniest dudes I know.
Well, thank you.
So it was nice being around, again, just such an awesome, like everyone on that team had, like, there was something special about every person on that team, even the ones I was afraid of. So
I will give you this. So I did not get the Hot Rods gig. Probably
again,
honestly,
there's no justice, no peace. We should have burned that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, I'm a graphic designer. I work in Louisville, but I don't want to call it a side hustle because they don't, it's a high school job, so they don't pay me a lot. I do basketball commentary, like not commentary, but like the PA, like in stadium stuff for John Harden. Go Dogs. And they, I know there's another cheap plug for you, but they went 35-1 last year.
Dang.
And they lost in the state tournament to a kid who just had the game of his life. And then they win. I think they only lost 3 games this year. They got knocked out of the region tournament by a team with a kid that's going to U of L next year who's really, really good. But I got to call live on the radio. They gave me a live microphone on radio
for the 5th region basketball tournament.
They obviously had never listened to the Average Joe's podcast.
No, I did not tell them about the podcast at all. No, I kept it very clean. I did corpse the guy doing play-by-play like 4 times. I made a Lethal Weapon joke, and he actually stopped mid-sentence and started cracking up on air.
There you go.
So like, but I wouldn't have the confidence to do the stuff that I get to do now with the panache that I get to do it if you, Raymer, didn't give me, despite like I was a shithead forever. Despite that, like the platform that you gave me, like, yeah, I didn't get to play dodgeball and I didn't learn some athletic skill. Like, don't put me in an NCAA commercial, for going pro for something outside of my sport. But like the platform and the sounding board to be the kind of person that I just wanted to be, not the one that I guess people expected me to be or what people thought I should be doing. Like, you gave me an opportunity to explore that. And I have more fun now doing that stuff than I do just about anything else. I'll send you a video. I bought giant fog geysers because I thought it would be funny to have those. And it's very funny. You can make yourself look like Goldberg walking into a room. It's great. But we use them for starting lineups. And just the stuff that we do at John all directly stems from what could I have done with Western Dodgeball if we had had a budget?
That's right.
Really what?
If we had any money.
Yeah. What do we have left in the tank for the pyro budget for the nationals?
Oh, I'll send you a video. They're great. Like, you dim the lights, do the whole thing. Oh, it's phenomenal.
How much does a set of those bad boys cost?
I got the ones I got from a guy that I knew who was going to get rid of them anyway. They cost me like $600, but there's 2 of them. They shoot fog like between 8 and 15 feet in the air.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a bargain at $600.
Yeah. Oh, highway robbery. What I did, but no, dude, I had so much fun doing this, and I met some people. It's like I said, we dropped into this conversation, and we're talking like we had talked yesterday.
Yeah.
I genuinely have nothing but love for all you guys. I really, like, now that I'm old, looking back on it, like I was such an asshat. But you weathered that storm. I don't know if it was for the good or the worse for dodgeball as a whole, but you weathered that storm and let me and Alex and sometimes Felix, when he was around, kind of just go nuts and do whatever we wanted to. And you just hoped for the best and that it would be vaguely dodgeball related. So thanks for that.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't trade my Average Joe's experience for anything.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, that was the thing was I've learned this too, because I have a podcast now, and I don't think I'd be doing that if I hadn't started that podcast over a decade ago. And what I've realized is that with stuff like that, like podcasting or any kind of content that you're putting out, people want to be entertained. Being informed is fine, but at least with a podcast, my philosophy now that I have a show is we're going to inform people. We're going to teach people some stuff. They're going to come away knowing something that they didn't know before. But if they're not entertained, they are not going to consistently come back and check out your show. And so that's why I always was just like, hey, let it rip, guys. Go have fun. Because I knew if you could make people laugh, you'd make them want to keep listening.
Especially because there wasn't always news in college.
No.
All right, what do we have this week? It's like, the tournament is now. Last week we reported how the tournament was 3 months away. Now we get to report that it's 2 months away. And that's
looking forward to that one. Back to you, Zach.
Right? That was, yeah.
Do you even remember what the question was anymore? Sorry, we kind of blocked you out there.
Also, hold on. I want to interrupt one more time. Raymer, thank you for having a professionally produced ad done for that time that I started at Uber. Like, I started Uber before that was a thing.
You did.
I want credit for that.
You were like 5 years ahead of the curve there.
Years ahead of the
I
curve.
like how when you came up with it, it was potentially a felony, and now someone's made a huge business out of it.
And I think you were just running an illegal taxi service.
That's all you were doing.
Yeah.
Which is really what Uber is.
There was no app or anything like that. It was just call Newton. But I remember the ad. It was like, the Topper Taxi, the only way to make it home when you're smash face.
Oh, dude. The Lee guy that did the voiceovers for this podcast just rubbed so much grease on that. It's so
fantastic. Do you know what his last name was?
Uber.
Lee Uber.
Yeah, it's Lee Uber.
That was the guy
this
who
is
did
the
it.
guy. What if you find out that he was like, I think there's something to this Topper.
I'll fight him in the street.
That's why it's called Uber. He started it and named it after himself.
Oh, that's great. All right,
But yeah, It was
Yeah,
super
I don't
illegal.
want to.
That's true.
One up Zach.
Yeah, so Felix, I do want to ask you the same question because I don't know if you've shared this before. How did you get interested in dodgeball?
I did it as a way to avoid going to youth group. I didn't want to go to church, and dodgeball was on the same nights as youth group. And so I told my mom, I was in high school when I started playing. I played all 4 years competitively in high school, and I told my mom, I was like, well, I don't have many friends, and maybe I can make friends playing dodgeball. I was like, oh, okay. And so I did it that way. And then when I went to WKU, I was just going around the whatever it's called, the involvement fair, and Zach Parsons and Tom Schatzinger pulled me in. They're like, "Hey, do you want to play dodgeball?" I was like, "I already play dodgeball." They're like, "No, like this."
Do you want to
somebody
play
did a grip throw against the wall? It's like, yep, this is what I want to be.
I remember. So I have my memory is weird. I have very vivid memories of various random things, and I have a very vivid memory of the first practice that we had that season where Felix came. So this would have been my junior year. Felix, I think it was your freshman year. You were like skinny, like just broomstick skinny. You had the long hair back then.
Smelly.
You were sitting there whipping a ball against the wall. You had that sidearm kind of like throw like this at that point. And you were just sitting there, and I was like, who is this goober that with the long hair that's come in for practice? And little did I know it was the future NCDA president, Felix Perrone, that was in our midst.
From humble beginnings.
I remember being really upset about that practice because it was Sunday of Labor Day weekend, and it's like I could have stayed home for another day, but I'm going to come back for dodgeball, I guess. So I came back a day early with nothing open on campus food-wise, just to play dodgeball, but it ended up being a pretty good decision.
Pretty good decision. I'm glad you did it.
Fresh food company all the time.
Yeah, fresh. That was the spot on campus.
So much cereal from that place.
Oh God, I know, right? So many cups and silverware. So what's our second question here, Felix? As he frantically opens the doc back up.
Oh,
we're losing him.
Oh,
so I think
out there.
Try again, Felix. Oh, he's frozen. So the second question is, do you keep up with the NCDA at all anymore? Zach, we'll start with you. Do you keep up with it still?
I still follow it on Twitter. I kind of see what's going on. I don't keep up with as much as I'd like to. I guess it's harder because my dodgeball mother church no longer exists, which is sad. I knew that Western's team had closed up shop. And so I guess, I don't have the connections anymore to really stay actively involved with it. Felix, you can confirm this maybe. Do Kentucky and Louisville still have teams? If any of those guys see this and need any of our services, I think that any of us would be glad to help in whatever capacity we could.
UK still has a team. U of L does not. Okay. Western does not. But I'm pretty sure, Felix, I think you might be frozen, but if you're not, nod your head if they still have a team.
Blink twice if you're okay, buddy.
No, he's frozen. So I'm pretty sure
really
UK still
freeze.
Yeah, he does.
Look
it's
at
a very
that.
Good freeze. Yeah, it's good. So so you still keep up with it on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter and Facebook. I see the stuff on social media. I'll watch the highlight videos and stuff, but in terms of like, could I break down nationals this year? No.
Yeah, so that was the extent of my involvement as well. I still follow the Twitter account, and then where I got back into it in earnest was last year for nationals. I think Felix and I talked about this after the fact. They and if we can get Felix to rejoin, he can add more detail to this, but
maybe back in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So, Felix, I was telling them I got back in on the NCDA. I think I had seen the tweet that you all had put out from nationals. This was when Towson beat GVSU, and you all had paid a company that typically did like esports broadcasts. They were looking to branch out into sports, if I'm not mistaken. And you guys worked out a really nice deal for them to do a professional broadcast from the national tournament. And so I was able to pull it up on my phone because you guys had it live streaming on YouTube and watch it on my TV And it was the most professional broadcast that I have ever seen the NCDA put out. And I was so freaking thrilled and impressed. I called Felix right away, and we sat there and talked for probably an hour about how great that broadcast looked. Because that was like the moment I felt like that we had been waiting for, all of us, from that first Nationals in 2011, where we were live streaming on our phones and the quality was not great. And we were just doing commentary from behind the phone into the speaker, to that moment right there where I think, Felix, didn't you say they laid like 5 miles of cables?
Yeah, they had 3 static cameras on the court. They had 2 wide lens cameras.
Wide angle lens.
Yeah. So they can get the entire court in one camera, which was incredible. And then, they had, I think, a staff of 12 people.
Jesus.
But they had like halftime, like they were throwing it back up to the guy from Grand Valley there who was doing the halftime production.
Yep. They had instant replays that they did after the game, or like highlight reels. We had a professional gamecaster come in, and he called the tournament. He knew nothing about dodgeball at all, but he was like such a pro that it sounded like he did. He asked all the right questions, because we had someone there from the NCDA, and we rotated in and out. And they helped him with the game. So Gar was his name. He would just like say, "Oh man, that was a great hit," and then also Kevin, can you explain to me what you would do in this situation? And so by the end of the tournament, he knew the game perfectly, and he was
great.
the championship game like a pro.
So, is that footage on YouTube, Felix?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. I think it's on Twitch and Facebook Live also.
That's amazing. I have never been more proud of the NCDA than that moment. I know it was a hefty investment, but you can point to that when you're talking about recruiting schools and say, do you want to see what the college dodgeball is all about? Go watch this Nationals broadcast that we did that looks better than a lot of other professionally produced sports. And you can see what this is all about in crystal clear HD with professional commentary and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really incredible. We had a lot of hurdles getting to that. The morning that the tournament was supposed to start on Sunday morning, all of Facebook globally went down for 2 hours. And it's
gosh.
All right, I guess we're gonna. We weren't even planning on streaming to YouTube, but the guys that were running the production company pulled it out of their butts.
Yeah,
they were able to put us on their Twitch channel and then also throw it up on YouTube, because who would have thought that would have been the one time Facebook would go down to the entire world?
Well, and if you all had just been doing it yourself, you might have just thrown in the towel and just said, all right, guys, not going to happen. Sorry. Maybe we'll try to figure something out. But because it was the one time that you had paid for a professional company to come in, they were able to pivot for you guys. So, Heichelbech, what about you? What's your status as far as keeping up with the league?
Yeah, if this tells you what a rich, full oyster my life has become, the only 2 pages that I get push notifications from on Facebook are Bon Appetit Magazine and the National College Dodgeball Association. So those are the only notifications I get.
That's amazing.
When there's a new recipe for how to preserve candied figs, and when college dodgeball was going on. And it's been so cool seeing all those videos. And like I said, I haven't really kept up with like rule changes, which is why a lot of times when I'm watching the videos, I'm like, what's going on here? So it was nice to have Felix kind of elucidate those a little bit. But yeah, I still love watching it, even though I was not a phenomenal player. It's still something that was such an important part of my like kind of college time, and then seeing how it's continued to grow and spread is just awesome. Like, it's such a fond memory. So
yeah, I agree. And that is what is so cool, is that even though we're not involved anymore in terms of with any kind of school or with the NCDA, we still get to watch it from a distance and root it on and really get excited for these moments like Nationals 2019, where they have this incredible broadcast, or come down and check out, the national tournament there in 2015 at Western and pitch in and help out where we can. And so it is what is so cool. I mentioned earlier that dodgeball is the most inclusive sport on the planet. It's also the college ranks, at least, the most inclusive community that I think I've ever been a part of, because once you're part of that college dodgeball community, those are friends for life, man. Like you said, Zach, we dropped right into this conversation. I haven't talked to you guys in probably I don't know, since the alumni game, Alex and Newton. I don't know the last time we spoke, but it was like we picked right up like we'd seen each other last week. And that's just the way it is with college dodgeball buddies, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I mean, half of my wedding party were guys that I met through dodgeball. And even Andrew Swanson and Jared Silverthorne, they went to my high school. They were a year older than me, and I played soccer with them in high school. I hated those guys. Those are cool guys. They're drinking on the weekend, having sex with girls. And,
I'm sure Kendall will love to hear this.
Two things that Felix is definitely not down for.
Yeah. No sex on the weekends, only during the week.
No boozing and no premaritals on the weekends, boys.
But I hated them. And then they come in my sophomore year and start playing dodgeball. And it's like, oh, okay, these guys aren't so bad. And then I end up moving in with them.
And next thing you know, you're drinking and laying pipe on the weekends. So dodgeball is a gateway.
It is. Oh. It's a gateway to other activities. I will say I still see Swanson all the time. He lives like 10 minutes down the road from me, so we see him all the time. And it is funny, Felix. I remember you telling me that at one point that you actually hated those guys in high school. So it's amazing how dodgeball can bring former enemies together.
Yeah. Well,
so
they're some of my best friends, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity to, I guess, rekindle a relationship with them had it not been for dodgeball. And then, I met my wife at a dodgeball tournament. I don't know if Zach and Alex, if you guys heard the story, but my last year of grad school, we were up at Kent State for a tournament, and we were at the after party because Kent State was known for their parties and just being jolly gentlemen. Christine was roommates with people who were friends with the dodgeball team, and she just happened to be at that party, and that's how we met. And so it's just it's pretty fitting that I meet my wife through dodgeball, but
yeah. Was there cookies involved? Am I remembering this wrong?
Yeah. So I'm allergic to walnuts, and she thought I was cute, so she was the one who approached me. I mean, I don't mean to brag. I think
you're a handsome guy, Felix. I've said this for years.
I heard that sentence wrong. It was I'm allergic to walnuts, so she approached me. She was like, "That guy's allergic to walnuts. I'm going to break me off."
Die.
No, I'm not good at segues. So she had a plate of walnut cookies, and she was passing them around. She was like, "Hey, you want one?" I was like, "Yeah, I want a cookie. Of course. I'm 12 Budweisers in. Duh." So,
cookies are great.
So I take a bite of the cookies, and my tongue starts tingling. It's like, I don't know about this anymore.
Anaphylaxis.
Yeah.
It ended up being okay. But
yeah, I'm glad you didn't your tongue didn't swell up and you suffocated. That would have been a horrible way to go.
It'd be really impressive if you were doing the podcast today, though. If you had died of anaphylaxis,
yeah, exactly.
Years ago.
Mine's not quite dodgeball related, but the first full night that I spent with my wife, she's allergic to alcohol, which is incredibly rare.
Wow.
And we were out with a bunch of other friends at a bar in Japan, and someone had a drink up in the air and spilled it all over her. And so she books it outside, and I was like, "That's bad." So I run outside, and she's outside struggling to breathe.
Oh my gosh!
And so luckily, I had my first aid kit in my car, so I went and basically crushed up some allergy pills, and she, got those in her. And so I spent the rest of the night just help her. And then not even a year after that, we started dating. And I was in town. I lived an hour and a half away from the city where she lived, but I was up there for a meeting, and I get a phone call from her. And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she says, "I've been in an accident. There's blood everywhere." And then she hangs up on me. And so I'm just and I'm wearing a suit. I just come out of a meeting. I was in a suit. And so I'm calling her back in a panic, and she won't answer her phone. So finally she answers. I was like, "What is going on?" She's like, "Oh, sorry, I had to hang up. The police are here. They're trying to make me get in an ambulance, but I don't want to get in an ambulance." So I rushed to where she is. She'd been on her bike and had gone around a corner and had collided with another bike, and she had gone over the handlebars, completely torn up, her face, her leg, everything. But she didn't want to get in the ambulance because she didn't have health insurance. So same thing. I sit on the sidewalk and patch her up while these cops are standing and leering, trying to physically move her. And so I got in between a bunch of cops and my future wife, and then took her back to her apartment and took care of her for the weekend. And now we're married. So
That's a beautiful story. I love
yeah,
that.
sorry, it has nothing to do with dodgeball, but it's a unique how we met story, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
usually
just
when you crush up pills and like pour them on something.
Yeah, it was
Drown
like
that
a
pill.
much friendlier like Cosby kind of meet thing.
yeah, it was happening where the party where Felix was 12 beers in, then after alcohol had been poured on you. That's crazy, man.
Just walnuts or any other tree nuts?
Just walnuts and then assortment of tropical fruits. So coconuts, avocados,
Coconut's trash.
mangoes.
Well, let's not cast aspersions on tropical fruit.
Nah, fuck. Thanks for
You
believing this
feel about coconut the same way you do the state of Ohio?
I'd take Ohio before I'd take coconut.
Dang,
That's harsh, man. I do remember of your many hatreds, Tom Brady in the state of Ohio.
My state of the Ohio thing's funny because one of my best friends live there now. But after I moved back home and kind of settled in, I started a pop punk band and we toured a little bit.
Is this box wine?
This was Box Wine.
I remember that.
I listened to a bunch of box wine.
And we played a show in Ohio, and a guy beat the piss out of our bassist. And because, of course, he did, because we were in Ohio. The irony being he was from Ohio, which he's a piece of shit anyway. And I'd say, I love that guy. But no, I DJ'd his wedding reception, and his mom is probably still mad at me. But no, like the worst memories I have in that band, almost all of them happened in Ohio. Like it's just a bad state for me. I don't know. I mean, the Reds play there and the Bengals, and I hate the Bengals, and the Reds just depress me. And then it's an awful place. If I didn't have to go to Ohio ever, I won't.
I have a contentious relationship with the state of Indiana. So
I don't like Indiana. The best part of Indiana is the last 5 miles before the Kentucky border or the Illinois
it's
border.
once you can start seeing Louisville. So
Yeah. No,
That's right.
Indiana's a dump, but it's not Ohio.
That's
And
true.
none of them are West Virginia. That's a new hate.
But if you are a university in any of those states that would like to start a NCDA team, please.
yeah, I'm
Don't
not
let this stop you.
Do that. Don't call me. I am not the one. I am not your boy.
So,
All right.
Raymer, I've got one for you.
Yeah.
It didn't get sent in, but I'm curious. With your little one, Paxton, when Paxton's old enough to go off to university, and Paxton's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about joining, the dodgeball team here." Would you turn him away so he doesn't end up like all of us?
A degenerate?
Just train wrecks all around.
I'm going to sit here while you smoke the whole carton kind of thing. Where you
No, I would be very disappointed if he didn't join his university's dodgeball team if there was one there. So no, I would be thrilled. I'd be the crazy dad on the sideline, yelling pointers at the whole team throughout the entire game. So
your dad that gets banned from showing up.
yes, I'm getting tossed.
This is 8 and unders dodgeball. You've got to tone it down, sir.
Yeah, sir, this is a Wendy's drive-through. You have to go.
I can see you on the sideline just standing with your hands on your hips, just screaming. It's like, why are you listening to me? I'm Yoda.
Yes, exactly. Don't you know who I am?
Have you heard my rap album?
Yeah.
I invented this. Don't.
So yes, I would be thrilled if he got to join the dodgeball fraternity with his old man. So guys, let's put a bow on this. I want to, Felix, do me this favor. If Nationals ends up happening, and even if it doesn't, the next big tournament that maybe involves some teams that we would know about, I'd love to get together. And I don't know how we could do this technologically speaking. It may not be possible. Maybe this is a pipe dream. But I'd love to get this group back together next time there's some dodgeball action and have a little 3-man booth with you two gentlemen to call some dodgeball action, because this has been a lot of fun. I didn't realize how much I had missed this until we got back on mic here and started spitting, because this has been a lot of fun.
I can't believe we haven't triggered your PTSD yet. Like,
no, man, this is
his therapist told him he really needed to do this.
I was a bully. That's the only way that you can describe it.
During the drunk podcast, there's one part where I was ignoring you. Go, hey, fat, and I go, what? I go, how did I miss to that?
I remember that. Yeah,
it was so defeating. It was like finally resonating. Like, he's beat me. I've been beaten.
Yes, you answered to fat.
I've been ignoring you for years. I finally answered to it. I was like, he's won.
He's won. That's
What,
right.
what
So
else was-
so
my favorite memory of that podcast, I'm going to cut you off real quick because this needs, if you don't listen to the whole thing and you shouldn't, it's abhorrent. I cannot, I have never been so ashamed to have re-listened to things I said in my life. And I've said horrible things. There's a moment in that game where Adam Martin had painted himself like a raccoon because Adam Martin,
of course,
and he gets hit in the face so hard that there is an indelible print on the ball. There's photos of it. They stopped the game for like 5 minutes, and we're just screaming. Just like Alex leaves the booth to go take a picture.
I had to go see it. It was like the Shroud of Turin. I had to go check that out, make sure it was a real thing.
And like that kind of stuff. Like I don't think that it's really cool that dodgeball now seems like it's grown up in a lot of ways. But it really feels like dodgeball then and now, I guess, if my biggest perspective shift, and I know that I'm like rehashing because we covered this like 30 minutes ago, is dodgeball then was the ABA. And
true.
Dodgeball now is the NBA.
It's true.
Mhm.
Like everything now is amazing. Like the streaming stuff from last year and just the way that it's grown is really cool to see. But it's so cool to be like, I was a cog in the early wheel for no reason that any of us can really discern. But it was just so cool to see this thing all big and grown up that like you helped a bit. Like even if nobody now knows me, and that's fine if they don't, I was a turd. But like it's so cool just to see this thing that like I was a part of at some point grow up. And I'm so thrilled to have been a part of all of this.
Agreed. 100%. It's one of those things. Yeah. Like nobody, it's fine if nobody remembers or knows who we are, what we contributed. Just the fact that they stand on what we did and helped contribute to this league and to this game and to this program, a decade ago is really cool. And now we get to just stand back like proud grandparents and just watch these kids now play. And it's so much fun, man. The level of athleticism is through the roof now. Like all of these kids are like college athletes, and it's incredible to watch. So Felix, can we make this happen? Can we get a live stream with me and these two dodgeball degenerates for the next big tournament you guys have?
Oh yeah, for sure. Close to you guys, let's see, there's Kentucky, and then University of Cincinnati. They have a team, and so
perfect. We can cheer on you, UK for once, since they're playing against an Ohio team.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm game.
I know if that means we have to go to Ohio, I've got some extra tramadol that I can give to Zach to try to keep those demons at bay if we're in Ohio.
Is that in your magical first aid kit?
It is. I got all kinds of stuff in there. A little bit of Narcan, because if we're up in Ohio, that might be a problem too. So.
Cincinnati's barely Ohio. So that should be fine.
That's true. Cincinnati is to Ohio what Louisville is to literally every other part of Kentucky.
That's true. All right, guys. Well, let's put a bow on it here. Like I said, I will dig up some of these photos from both the 2009 photo shoot as well as the podcast photo shoot. We'll share that out whenever the episode goes live. Zach, Alex, Felix, thank you all for getting on here and reliving some of these memories with me. Thanks for the invite. You all were the ones who reached out to me about this. Really appreciate you guys, including me. And we'll do it again here soon. So signing off for Zach, Alex, and Felix, this is Jazzy Josh Raymer. We will see you guys from the UK Cincinnati game here later this fall. Y'all take care.
You too.